What's up, guys? UFC 322 just wrapped up, and the card had its ups and downs. On paper it looked like an 8 or 9 out of 10, but it performed more like a 6 or 7, still good, still above average. The early prelims were okay, a few solid performances. The prelims were good overall. The main card started with absolute bangers, 3 big knockouts in a row, but the championship fights slowed the momentum way down. Championship fights weigh the most in how we score a card, so that's why I rate it lower, but honestly, it was still a good event. Let's start with Islam Makhachev beating Della Maddalena with ease. Just complete grappling dominance. JDM didn't have much for him outside of one flurry in the clinch. Islam targeted the classic boxer weakness, leg kicks, and cooked JDM's leg early. That made defending takedowns even harder, and at one point it forced JDM to switch stance, opening a trivial double leg for Islam. It was an easy fight for him, rinse and repeat every round. He outstruck him, he outgrappled him, too skilled everywhere. A lot of people called the fight boring, and I get it. It wasn't entertaining, but one guy was constantly hunting submissions while the other was just very good defensively, which creates stalemates. JDM struggled with positions but defended submissions extremely well. He also made it hard for Islam to posture for ground and pound, not that Islam is a huge GNP fighter anyway. He's very different from Khabib in that regard. Not much else to say. The size difference wasn't huge, and the extra weight didn't hurt Islam's cardio at all. His skills were sharp, cardio intact, and the added size seemed perfect for the division. But the real question, is it enough to deal with the monster that is Michael Morales? That matchup is the ultimate skill versus size. Morales isn't just a bit bigger, he makes Islam look like a lightweight again. Morales looks like a middleweight, maybe even light heavyweight. He looks close to 210 pounds, and there's no way he's actually 6 feet 0 inches. He looks 6 feet 2 inches with a 79-inch reach, Pereira height and length but twice the thickness. I'm really curious how Morales' insane size advantage will affect the fight. The guy is unreal. I can see Islam beating Morales, but it's a dangerous fight. Leg kicks won't be as effective, and every time Islam throws one, Morales will look to counter with those long, powerful punches. Morales has an 8.5-inch reach advantage and will probably be 10 to 20 pounds heavier. Islam will look small, but maybe his skill can overcome it. We'll see. It's a fascinating matchup. Islam calling out Usman makes sense, I get it. Who wouldn't prefer fighting Usman instead, especially after what Morales just did to Sean Brady? Next, Valentina Shevchenko dominating Zhang Weili for 5 rounds, one of her easiest fights to date. She just stuck to her usual uniform style and didn't change a thing. It worked even better here because of the size difference and Zhang's long-standing issues with range. Zhang has never been great at navigating distance. She mostly explodes in. I expected Shevchenko to clinch and bodylock her, just like always, and it worked perfectly. The fight wasn't exciting, but at least we finally got it after years of anticipation, only for it to be completely one-sided. Great for Shevchenko, not great for entertainment value. But honestly, it's typical Shevchenko. She always slows down the momentum of a card. She fights one way against everyone and has only ever lost to 2 people. Both in close fights. She avenged the Grasso loss and arguably beat Nunes in the rematch. She stays at range, punishes the body if you don't enter, and counters you if you do. Then she bodylocks and trips you. Her strength is noticeable. Zhang landed one good right hand when Shevchenko threw a lead leg kick, but after that Valentina just blasted kicks and knees that hurt her repeatedly. And keep in mind, Shevchenko was doing this to Nunes, someone 10 to 20 pounds heavier, so of course it would work even better against Zhang. If I were Zhang, I'd drop back to strawweight, she'd likely destroy Mackenzie Dern there. This performance also shows just how great Shevchenko is. However, I don't think she'll have the same level of ease against Natalia Silva, who is one of the few fighters who can actually fight well at range. Silva has the speed, footwork, and style to make things tricky. That's a fun fight. And if Shevchenko beats Silva and Nunes beats Harrison, we have to get the trilogy. Both retire afterward. That would settle the GOAT debate. It would be a shame if they never run it back. Now, Michael Morales destroying Sean Brady. Morales bullied him. And Brady didn't shoot a single meaningful takedown. He tried to strike from long range against a size cheat code. Morales at welterweight is not fair. I can't believe Brady fought like that. He was America's next title hope and didn't even attempt real wrestling. Look at how fast Islam shot on JDM. That's what I expected from Brady, if not sooner. Morales was pulling his hips way back, prepared to sprawl, but Brady still didn't commit. He tried counterpunching, jabbing in, throwing check hooks, acting like he was Terence Crawford. Morales even overextended a few times and Brady didn't capitalize. It was baffling. Even if the openings weren't perfect, you have to shoot. You aren't beating Morales in a kickboxing match. Brady was creating perfect entries for takedowns and just never used them. I expected at least one real shot. Morales' stance was practically baiting him to try. The welterweight division has completely changed. The top is full of finishers. Give Morales a title shot, he might knock out anyone there. They either won't shoot takedowns or won't succeed with them. At range he bullies everyone. Islam will shoot, sure, but Morales might sprawl on him so hard it knocks him out. JDM striking with him? Good luck getting past that reach. Colby? Too small. Usman? Washed. Belal? Cooked. I'd love to see Brady actually try to wrestle, but that rematch is not happening. Ian Gary could potentially beat Morales the same way he beat Pereira: smart range control, clean technique. If he avoids the takedown, he's dangerous. He has excellent footwork. He's very fast and an intelligent fighter. He could probably pick Morales apart as long as he doesn't get hit, and I think Gary can avoid the big power shots better than any other welterweight. It's actually insane how much Gary has leveled up in his recent performances. He truly looks like one of the best welterweights right now. But honestly, Morales had a great performance and is going to be a problem for everyone. There isn't a single fighter in the division who's going to handle this guy easily. And then we move on to another knockout. Dude, Leon Edwards vs Carlos Prates. Headshot, dead. Carlos Prates becomes the first man ever to knock Leon Edwards out. Those 4 inches of reach I mentioned definitely played a factor. Leon stood right in front of him, and I expected more takedown attempts because it's very hard to point fight or stay safely outside the range of someone that much longer. Leon looked good in the first round, though. His wrestling entries were quick, he took Prates back and threatened a rear naked choke. The game plan was working early. But in the second round, he got complacent. Maybe it was the trash talk Prates was chirping at him, mocking him the whole fight, and maybe it got in Leon's head. Regardless, the knockout was exceptional. Prates established the outside angle, lined up the left straight down the center, basic open stance fundamentals, and flatlined him with one clean shot. Prates might be the hardest puncher in the division and is now entering the top 5. This also makes you realize how good Ian Gary is, dude. And it raises questions about how the rankings shake out. Leon is number 4, Gary is number 6, Prates is number 8. A reshuffling is absolutely coming. I picked Leon, and he looked great early, but the sudden KO was wild. I thought if Prates was going to knock him out, it'd be from hurting him first and then finishing him at the fence. I did not expect a one-shot KO on someone who had never been knocked out before. But he had never fought Prates, either. Honestly, this is good for the division. Almost the entire top 5 is becoming the new generation. Belal and Usman are still ranked, but we'll see how long that lasts. Then Beneil Dariush tried to go to war with a soldier, Benoit St. Denis, and got face-planted seconds into the fight, unconscious, similar to the Robbie Lawler KO over Nico Price. BSD threw uppercuts, then a left hook to the temple, and that was it. Benny D was actually looking sharp for the 10 seconds he survived, landed good leg kicks, even tripped BSD, then his chin just couldn't hold up. He's always been a bit chinny, but getting slept that fast was shocking. And then there's the MMA rock-paper-scissors dynamic. Dariush beat Moicano, Moicano beat BSD, BSD beat Dariush. It's crazy how often that happens. BSD talking about his support for the US because of military history was unique, too. And the guy being French Special Forces on top of that, there aren't many fighters like him. I'm still shocked. I thought Benny D was going to win. I was getting excited, he was kicking BSD's legs, and then he just died from a left hook. Amazing performance by BSD, the quickest win of his career. Hopefully Dariush is okay, and hopefully he doesn't miss weight next time. Then Bo Nickel slightly hurt Rodolfo Vieira with a head kick, emphasis on slightly. He's fine, guys. But seriously, that was a brutal knockout. Bo took him down in the first round, landed big elbows and knees, great awareness since Vieira wasn't grounded, and throughout the fight he looked far more composed on the feet. Lots of feints, lots of left hands, conditioning Vieira to misread the guard. Eventually Vieira lowered his hands to center line, and the head kick landed flush. Lights out. Bo had a clear speed advantage, clean left hands, right hooks, effective jab. Despite Vieira not being much of a striker, Bo showed major improvement in his feinting, composure, and variety. He used jabs and low side kicks to set everything up perfectly. Then he flicked off the crowd. They loved him in the beginning, booed him in the third for lack of action, even though Vieira wasn't doing anything either. You're down 2 rounds badly, and you're not even trying to throw or shoot. He just stood in front of Bo until he got knocked out. If Bo wants to lean into being the heel, great for the sport. He's insanely competitive, and doubt just fuels him more. And honestly, Bo Nickel is clearly improving. But please don't give him a ranked opponent yet. Slow it down. Throw him someone like Mikhail Oleksichuk or Roman Kopylov. He'll need time to heal his nose anyway. Either fight works. Then Gregory Rodriguez defeated Roman Kopylov by unanimous decision in a straightforward fight. Rodriguez was extremely efficient with the right straight to the body, which set up shots to the head later. He got taken down but threatened submissions immediately, even had a dangerous-looking leg attack before Kopylov kicked out. They said Roman threw over 100 strikes, but that has to be wrong by like 50. Most of those came in the third round. His problem is that he only turns up the pace late, same thing he did against Costa, and it cost him. He likely doesn't trust his cardio and coasts early. Kopylov is talented, fast, and had a speed advantage, but he got his nose broken by Rodriguez's signature right straight in the second. It was a decent fight overall. Rodriguez should definitely get a ranked opponent next. And honestly, Marvin Vettori is a perfect matchup. But the rankings are wild. Vettori, Della and Costa are all still ranked. There have to be better middleweights right now. Vettori is on a 3-fight skid, Della kept his ranking off beating Vettori, and Costa kept his ranking off beating Kopylov. They're literally keeping each other afloat. Someone needs to break that cycle. Rodriguez might be the man to do it. And then Erin Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez. Blanchfield showed Cortez that there are levels to grappling, but it took time. She didn't shoot a single takedown in the first round, and I was honestly thinking, okay, something's up here. In fact, she didn't even attempt a takedown until Cortez tried to wrestle with her, which was very odd. She was doing so well in the stand-up against Blanchfield but then decided to shoot a takedown that led to nothing. Cortez said she didn't even know Islam was headlining her card. Well, it looked like she also didn't know who her opponent was. Why would she shoot a takedown on Erin Blanchfield? She was doing great in the striking and then suddenly switched things up. She got reversed on the ground while going for the back, and from that point on Blanchfield started to wrestle. It was almost like Cortez reminded Blanchfield that she can wrestle too, and as soon as she did, Blanchfield showed that there are levels to this. Cortez is nowhere near her in grappling. Blanchfield shot a takedown in the center of the octagon, tripped her with a bodylock, and when she attacked the choke she didn't even need the hooks. The squeeze was so tight that Cortez first tried to angle away, but the pressure forced her, as Blanchfield said, to go belly up. Amazing win for Erin Blanchfield. I think she's one win away from a title shot, considering Natalia Silva is the #1 contender. It was cool to see Blanchfield strike, but man, I was waiting for the takedown. She was doing all right, but it wasn't optimal. She was getting hit, and Cortez seemed like the cleaner striker. Blanchfield isn't very fast or dynamic on the feet. But that Cortez takedown attempt was honestly confusing. That is the last thing you do against Erin Blanchfield. She's one of the best grapplers in all of women's MMA. Great win overall, though. For her next fight, I think they should book Erin Blanchfield versus Alexa Grasso. And for Tracy Cortez, who's number 8, maybe a fight with Luana Santos or someone around that range, someone she should be mixing in takedowns against, unlike in this matchup. Ethan Ewing versus Malcolm Wellmaker was another wild story. Ewing takes the fight on 2 days' notice, flying from California, getting all his medicals done last minute, and still shows up at Madison Square Garden to beat the undefeated, highly hyped Wellmaker by unanimous decision. I underestimated him. I thought he was going to get chinned, and he proved me wrong. He was simply the better fighter. His striking looked sharp, his wrestling was solid, and he survived a big right hook early that I honestly thought would knock him out. He got rocked but stayed composed. For a guy debuting on 2 days' notice, you'd think a start like that would discourage him, but it didn't at all. His post-fight interview showed how confident and calm he was. He kept his composure throughout, took big shots, but Wellmaker took big shots too. That head kick he ate was flush, and he somehow survived. Both guys were tough, but Ewing got ahead with combinations. Wellmaker kept throwing single shots and resetting. His footwork wasn't there. He'd punch before stepping, making it easy for Ewing to evade and counter. Also credit to Ewing's coach. Dude was loud the entire fight. You could hear him over everybody else, giving constant, clear advice. He told Ewing to be first, and Ewing followed, working behind the jab beautifully. Great fundamentals, a step ahead all night. This first loss will probably help Wellmaker improve, but Ewing announced himself as a real contender. And the craziest part? That wasn't even Ewing at his best. He had no camp, a rushed weight cut, 2 days' notice. If he's better than that, I can't wait for his next fight. Kyle Dorkaus versus Gerald Meerschaert was another quick one. Kyle destroyed GM3 in 50 seconds of the first round. His improvements are insane. He looks like a completely different fighter. He returned to the UFC with a 43-second knockout of Michel Pereira, which was crazy, and then he finishes Gerald Meerschaert, an experienced vet, in under a minute. He stunned him with a left hand, followed up on the ground. Meerschaert tried to turtle, and then rolled right into a Darce choke and tapped. Dorcas thought he was out, but GM3 eventually tapped and it was over. It's a huge win, 6 straight wins, 5 finishes. His striking confidence has skyrocketed. Now, I don't want to overreact and say he's definitely going to be ranked soon. Pereira was coming off 2 losses and GM3 was on a 3-fight skid. Before we know where Dorkaus really stands, he needs someone on a win streak or at least not another opponent on a skid. But if he wins again, he might be ready for ranked fighters. As for GM3, he's probably getting cut. Him and Slava Claus were the 2 guys who desperately needed wins. GM3 now has 58 pro fights, has been knocked out 5 times, dropped 3 times in his last 4 fights, and 7 times in his UFC career. That's a lot of damage. Pat Sabatini versus Chape Moriscal was a great fight. Sabatini won a unanimous 30-27, snapping Moriscal's 8-fight win streak. The first 2 rounds especially had insane scrambles. Moriscal had some great moments trying to escape Sabatini's top control, but Sabatini was a step ahead in the grappling. He's definitely skilled enough to be ranked, though I don't know if his striking is good enough yet. But his grappling is elite. He fought through adversity too. He took an uppercut that cut his eye, and 2 more shots opened up 3 cuts. His eye was swelling shut, but he never stopped implementing his game plan. In round 3 he took Moriscal's back for minutes with a figure 4 but couldn't quite get the choke because Moriscal's defense was solid. Great performance by Sabatini overall. Fatima Klein defeats Angela Hill by dominant unanimous decision. Total domination, but Klein wasn't satisfied. She wanted a finish. Hill is just unbelievably tough. She ate huge shots, including a shin-to-jaw head kick at the end that would knock out almost anyone. Hill's chin is legendary, never been knocked down in her entire career. Klein showed real killer instinct, going for the finish until the very last second. That's something a lot of fighters lack, and it shows she has a high ceiling. She's going to be ranked now, and I love hearing a fighter be unsatisfied with just a dominant decision. A great next fight would be Klein versus Jessica Andrade. Finally, Bisanga Banger Susurkarev knocks out Eric McConaughey in the 3rd round. The fight wasn't very exciting overall, but Makhachev fought much better than expected, throwing more, using power, landing elbows in the clinch. But in the third, he rushed forward at the wrong time, overextended with a left straight, and Bisanga countered with a clean 1-2 as Makhachev squared up. He face-planted, and credit to Bisanga for not throwing unnecessary ground and pound. When he saw his opponent face first on the canvas, he knew the fight was over. Now, it did come right after a low blow, which might have been payback for an earlier low blow, so there's some debate there. Bisanga got hit low by an uppercut and had time to recover. Is it a coincidence he landed the knockout right afterward? I don't know. He was starting to put combinations together earlier but did look a bit tired. Maybe that break gave him the second wind he needed to explode with such an amazing finish. But to be fair, Mechanical landed low too. In the second round, he actually took away Bayonga's momentum. Bisanga had been stringing combinations together, throwing flying knees to the body, and really settling into his rhythm right until Mechanical punted him in the balls. And it wasn't even a round kick, he threw a front kick from too close and landed low. Intentional or not, that was basically the perfect time for a low blow. He got the rest he needed and relieved Bisanga's pressure. But ultimately, it didn't matter much. Great knockout win for Bayer. Next, Mateusz Camilo defeated Slava Claus by unanimous decision. He wrestled a bit but surprisingly couldn't hold Slava down for long. The get-ups from Slava were actually impressive, especially in the first round. Camilo got 2 takedowns, but the fight was honestly really slow. He landed some big punches, but I don't understand why Slava Claus wasn't committing to anything with knockout intent. Everything he threw felt like 50% power, maybe less. His jabs had nothing on them, and in the third round Camilo was just walking through them with actual power, even though he wasn't that technical. It was a lackluster performance overall. Honestly, I don't think either of these guys looked UFC caliber. It almost felt like Slava Claus didn't care to win. He just wasn't throwing with power. Yeah, some of the left hooks to the body and the dipping uppercuts were nice, but where was the urgency? He's on the verge of getting cut, fighting someone who was slowing down in front of him, and still didn't try to go for the knockout. Come on, dude. I like Slava Claus, but that was frustrating to watch. The judges gave Camilo a 30-27 across the board, which I disagree with. I thought Slava won the second round. But even with that, he would have needed a knockout in the third to win anyway. This is his third loss in a row and he's probably getting cut. His takedown defense looked better in the third, but by then Camilo was tired. Even then, he still got muscled down at one point. His takedown defense just isn't UFC level right now. It looked good against Tom Nolan, but that's pretty much it. Nothing else to say, really. Camilo just did enough to get the win. His coach, Eric Nixick, was clearly trying to get him to stall out the third and secure the decision. Forget the crowd, forget entertainment, just win. Camilo didn't exactly stall, but he slowed down a lot and relied on big power shots. He noticeably fatigued. And honestly, if Slava Claus wasn't willing to pressure and throw with real power when his UFC job is on the line, then maybe he just shouldn't be in the UFC. Very unimpressive performance from both guys. Overall, the card was pretty good. The 2 championship fights slowed the momentum after 3 explosive main-card knockouts. The last 2 were just technical 5-round dominations. On paper the card looked like an 8 or 9 out of 10. In execution, I'd say it was more like a 6 or 7.